InvestaFest 2022 is brought to you by these major partners: Atram, To Trade Asia, and these other partners. Do not forget to share your experience and learning on social media. Use our official hashtag InvestaFest 2022.
Edward K. Lee is a veteran in the industry of stock investing and equities trading with over 40 years of experience dealing with multiple global markets, namely the US, China, Japan, Indonesia, and of course, his favorite emerging market, the Philippines. In 1986, he founded Citisecurities Inc., a small brokerage firm that focused on understanding and experimenting with different techniques to successfully trade stocks. Shortly after, he became chairman of the computer committee of both the Manila Stock Exchange and eventually the Philippine Stock Exchange before being elected as governor of the PSE in 1994 to 1995. Today, Citisecurities, now CTS Global Equity Group, has become the top global proprietary trading firm in the Philippines, and COL Financial is the #1 online stock brokerage firm in the country. In 2013, the Calum Trading Institute was established as part of Mr. Lee's campaign for financial literacy and with the goal of developing professional market timers to apply effective trading strategies across all global market environments. So without further ado, here's one of our keynote speakers for the InvestaFest, Mr. Edward Lee.
So, what's up mga ka-investa? Welcome to the InvestaFest 2022. I know you guys are excited for this interview as today I am joined by no one other than Mr. Edward Lee. So, Boss Edward, good afternoon and kamusta naman kayo?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Salamat. Salamat, Toma, for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. After two infections already, so I hope that wala na yung variant will touch me. I got the Alpha and I got the Omicron, so consistently pumapasok sa opisina, tinatamaan talaga. Yeah.
Yun, it's good to hear na okay kayo, sir. So maybe before we begin with the interview, just for those who may be new to the investing world or who may not know you yet, can you give a quick introduction about yourself?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur building businesses for the last 44 years. I started in 1978 and started with 50,000 pesos with two partners, and basically continue to just. I'm really probably born entrepreneur, and I've been building businesses for the last 44 years. 44 years. Matagal na ako sa negosyo. What people don't know, they think it's under CTS Global. I think it's COL Financial or Calum. That's the other side of my business. But when I started, we started as a fit-out businesses supplier. So we started with Wall Fashion, City Blind, Citymex, CWC International. I used to run that whole business since 1978. So we've been together for 44 years now with my two partners. So matagal na sa negosyo. So that's where I get all my cash flow to be able to build all this financial side talaga.
Yun.
So yeah.
Yun. So sir, maybe we can focus no sa investing journey niyo. I'm curious, how and when did you begin investing in the markets?
Well, in 1972, I joined an organization. It's an NGO. It's called Junior Achievement of the Philippines. No, and that NGO is I think it's an American NGO, and it's really to help young kids, expose them to how to become an entrepreneur. So that's where I started. I started in 1972, and in 1973, I was one of the mentors of Jardine Fleming. He was the CFO. His name, I still see him once a month. I see him. We'll have dinner together and sharing of ideas. He was the one who invited us to his office, and he was the CFO. He came from London School of Economics, and I saw from the back of his desk all these charts of mining companies. Then I asked him, "What's that?" And he shared with me that these are stocks listed stocks, mining stocks, and he gave me a book. It's called Technical Analysis of Stock Trends by Edwards and McGee. That's the classic book of technical analysis. So I was at a very young age, 1973, 18. I was 18. So, syempre, was very curious about prices goes up and down. So I spent most of my time not in school but in a brokerage firm, and started opening an account and started trading the stock market. So yun, that's how I was really exposed. Of course, by 1974, wala na, patay na tayo. Kasi di ba? Because mining stock at that time, speculative issues eh. Hindi naman natin naintindihan yan eh. But I went to that, same thing with most young people today. If they're starting, they would love to focus on more active speculative issues. I went to that process also. So by 1974, got kicked out in school, wipe out, walang pera. So my two partners became my partners today. Were the one who financed my losses, and I had to work for Equitable Computer Services, 8 pesos a day as a key puncher. That's how I started. So that's really the whole story. May connection yan from because I was exposed. I ran the whole operations in Equitable Computer. So when I became a member of the exchange, I helped the exchange. I became the computer head in Manila Stock Exchange. And then later on, I was the chairman of the computer in Philippine Stock Exchange. So I helped computerize really the exchange. So meron akong trading background, meron din ako computer background. That's how it's all started. It's not overnight you do all these things. It's really a long process talaga. So probably we can call it a destiny, right? I mean,
So while doing those things for the exchange, were you also trading at the same time after the wipeout?
No, I
or
was
nagpahinga
already.
muna?
No, I was already a member of the stock exchange. 1986 yan eh. So I set up my business in 1978. So syempre, you have a small business, and then part of that, we continue to learn how to invest in the market or speculate in the market. So that's it. Until 1983, I was offered 15% of a small brokerage house in Manila Stock Exchange. So when I bought it, Ninoy was assassinated. So the volume that time was 5 million a day lang. It was 5 million a day lang. And they wanted to close shop already. And I said, teka, I just put in 15% of a 2 million investment. Di ba? So then what we did was, because we have a cash flow, may negosyo naman tayo, so we try to maintain it until, of course, we continue to invest. And by 1986, when the revolution came, I remember I was buying Lipanto at 3 centavos, and it went to 1 peso. So these are a lot of things that happened. So I became when the revolution came, magulo na eh, di ba? So what I did was I offered to purchase the majority and change it to Citisecurities. So from BLTAN Securities to Citisecurities. So I started in 1986. I became a member of the exchange, Manila Stock Exchange. And what happened was that kasi the volume was big, so we had to have a Wednesday timeout. Kasi too much processing, manual processing pa yan, di ba? And I talked to the exchange. Sabi ko, kasi my office is just across the exchange. So sabi ko, maybe I have people in Equicom. Maybe we can help you computerize it. And that's the beginning of the computerization of the Manila Stock Exchange. And then what we did was, after that, we did the price reporting system. Right? We were using binoculars to look at the board. And then what we do is we key it in, and then it goes back to the back office. So mano-mano pa rin. And then eventually we designed a matching system. And we were using a Stratus terminal-based pa. Terminal-based. So we were 1 year ahead of the Makati Stock Exchange. And then of course, because when they saw that, they bought the mock trade out of Chicago board. Right, and then when it became Philippine Stock Exchange, the first year, 1993, I was not the chairman. It was the Makati Stock Exchange computer chairman that became the PSC, the first one. But when I became the chairman in 1994, what I did was I scrapped the Manila Stock Exchange system and migrated to the MAC trade. And that was the beginning of the one system lang, one system lang. So it's really a long process. And when I started the COL in 1999, it was the same team of the Philippine Stock Exchange. All the software engineers were the one who put it all together. So it's all interrelated talaga. It's all interrelated. I didn't think about it. It was just it's a long journey talaga, long journey. May process talaga. Long process yan.
Grabe, solid the backstory. Ngayon ko lang nalaman lahat yun. So,
Okay, maraming story.
sticking
Yes.
with yung with CUL, I remember I watched one of your talks sa YouTube and you highlighted this specific trade sa Acer where you accumulated so much shares tapos you got 2 board seats pero yung price hindi siya gumalaw. But despite that experience, sabi niyo na CUL wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that trade. Could you share with us diba, how important was that trade? What was the implications sa CUL?
Well, the biggest problem was that we didn't know, right? So what will happen is that because as we're active traders, market timers talaga, diba? And when you do well, what you do is you need to set aside that money for you try to invest in businesses. Do you understand, Toma? Meaning we do well in our trading, right? Active trading, we do very well. And because of that, what we do is that parang naglalagay ka ng alkansya, di ba? So what we do is we try to identify a company that has values, right? And at that time, A. Soriano was about 8 billion in terms of valuations, but the market cap was just 2.5 billion. So compute kami ng compute. Sabi ko, okay, pwede na ito. So we started accumulating. So we make money in the trading and then we put money into the long-term investing. It's like you need some passive investing, diba? Investing in businesses and doon ang jackpot mo. Kasi when you do well, diba? Doon ang jackpot eh. So trading it's an active income, right? Investing in businesses is basically for your passive income. Let them work for you eh. So that's how we started talaga. And what happened was that we keep on buying until we got one board seat. So I went in. The price did not move. It was still 2 pesos, 2.10. So parang value trap kasi holding company yan eh. And then we started buying and accumulating 2 board seat. Pareho pa, pumasok na yung second, yung vice chairman, my partner in all these things eh. And what we found out talaga is that if you are a minority, pag minority ka, maski na we're single majority single majority, pero kasi we have 2 board seat eh. But you really cannot say anything. Wala talaga. Wala mangyayari sa buhay mo. So that means nakaipit ka talaga. And the only way is for them to divest. Diba? Yung mga subsidiaries nila, diba? Until now, there's a company inside that is doing very well. They make more than $1 billion a year. It's spelled Dutch. That's owned by Anscor. At that time, we owned so many ICTSI. We owned 32%. Amampulo, El Nido, ang dami. Aboitiz Transport, Asian Bank at that time, and Felt Dutch. No? So there are a lot of jewels inside. It's just that they didn't want to do anything about it. Wala. So ipit kami. Hindi kami makagalaw. No? But then because of that, syempre, maswerte tayo. May awan Diyos sa atin. We were able to get out right in the middle of the pandemic, of crisis, Asian crisis, 1997. What really happened was that there was a boardroom fight between two brothers. Nag-away yan eh. So may story din yan, nag-away yan. In fact, it went to 410, 420. It says that we couldn't get out. Hindi kami makalabas eh. No? And then luckily, going to the crisis na in 1997, because what happened is that the whole market was collapsing na, di ba? And they were able to get a white knight to help them take us out. So nakalabas kami. I think one board seat was given to Templeton and the other board seat was given to Capital Research. So nakabenta kami, nakalusot kami. And then of course the crisis came in 1998. In fact, we were able to sell it at 280, which we did not make money on. I mean, we spent 2.5 to 3 years dyan. we were not able to capitalize in selling it on the way up. Hindi kami nakalabas. And luckily, that's when the opportunity came, when the crisis came in 1998. Diba? It was George Soros, right? He basically came in, and that was the beginning of the big sell off in the Asian market. It started, I think, in Thailand. So nadami pati dito. So I had that opportunity to be able, kasi may cash na ako, was able to capitalize on that. Yeah. Very interesting yan. Maraming kwento talaga dyan.
Sticking with that, sir, sa topic on market crashes, you emphasized numerous of times na whenever there's a crisis or a market crash, you need to be there. So bakit ganun, sir?
That's right. Because that's what happened to us eh. Kasi pag may panic, it's the same as what Warren Buffett has always been saying, di ba? Right? You be greedy when others are fearful. So we did that in 1987 during the SNL crisis. We also participated in the 1989 Tiananmen Square. In fact, I was calling my broker in Hong Kong, and I said, "Mr. Lee, what are you doing? Everybody's getting out." I said, "There's blood in the street. Start accumulating." So we were buying all these blue chip companies. Then, of course, the 1998 Asian crisis, and marami pa. And then you have also the 2008, 2009. It's the same. There was the global financial crisis, remember? And then, of course, the pandemic that happened in 2020. So always when there's it's really what we call a capitulation mean reversion strategy lang, no? It's a simple. No, sorry, I cannot say it's simple. I think what is really important, because we are active traders, so when markets are breaking down, we stay away, and then we let the prices capitulate. Once it capitulates, then we participate. So I teach that. It's a capitulation mean reversion. In a lot of my talks, I specifically teach that kind of a how do we participate in that. But you were asking also whether how do I get out? I mean, right? Kasi palagi pag rally, naglalabas na ako. So but because that is how do you say? This is it was a specific strategy, which is the capitulation mean reversion. So 0.382, naglalabas na kami. Hindi ko na iniisip na baka mag-new high, wala na yan. Because like in anything, I also teach reversals, di ba? So mean reversion, so we have a square root, we have a double bottom, we have a L to a U, right? I mean, these things we teach also. So we don't really know the outcome of it, but it's all by setup. Kailangan may specific entry point ka talaga.
And sticking with that, sir, sa mga talks you gave yung so many examples of positions na you sold too early, tapos pumunta to the moon.
Yes.
Yun, so
yes,
I'm sure you made substantial profits, pero how did this affect you psychologically in terms of trading?
Toma, we are in this is our business, right? So opportunities is there every day. So yung fear of missing out, wala talaga yan. Wala talaga. We're always there's a strategy. We just have the process. We just have to make sure that we follow it's a systematic type of entry and exit yan. So may pre-planned na talaga lahat yan. So even if it like for example, I talk about URC. I bought it at 8, I sold it at 12. It went to 200 right after 5 years. So ganun talaga ang buhay. Hindi naman natin alam yan. Palagi ko naman sinasabi, pag alam na natin, mayaman na tayo. We don't really know. It's all hindsight lang talaga. So, but since this is our business, right? Trading is our business. We basically consistent lang tayo. Trying to take advantage of capitulations, take advantage of what we call kasi I always share these 2 slides. Trade what you see and trade what you think, right? So we use setup, we use may entry, may exit tayo. So we use different patterns, right, to be able to participate. When it's expensive, we trade what we see lang. We use technical analysis. But when markets are with huge capitulation and there's a huge disparity, huge disparity in what is real and what is perception, wala na, lalabanan na natin yan. Especially in the Philippines, especially in the Philippines. The reason is Philippines kasi illiquid ang issues eh. Diba? So you can see that when companies are being sold at a huge discount, for example, the deletion of Aboitiz Power last year from the MSCI, right? Tuloy-tuloy ang bentahan yan, even though their earnings is good. But because of that deletion, it created a huge sell-off. Eh. And those are the opportunity of a lifetime that marunong naman tayo mag-compute ko ng valuations and the reason why it was taken out, right? And then we take advantage of those inefficiency in a way, no? Where the fund managers are forced to liquidate. So addition and deletion, I mean, for our audience, you have to learn that. Kasi pag nag-addition, it becomes so expensive. Pag nag-deletion, everything is cheap, di ba? So when you see earnings yan, makikita mo yung difference. You can take advantage of it and do very well consistently. So it's all there. I mean, we teach that, how this is done, only when you're ready to receive it. Kung ready ka na. Kasi sometimes, syempre, we have all our own biases palagi naman, di ba? So mahirap talaga itong ginagawa natin, no? But we share this, we share this from time to time. Pag may nagtanong sa amin, we have our own channel, ina-explain ko naman talaga, no? Ina-explain natin talaga yan.
So, Sir Edward, is that what gives you the confidence para mag-participate sa mga crisis or market crash? Talaga the disparity in value, kahit lahat ng tao nagpapanik. Kunya, in 2020, I remember nung start pala ng COVID, double circuit breaker, nagkakagulo na, there's blood on the streets.
Yeah.
Is that what gives you the confidence?
Kasi like I said, no? Kasi we're market timers eh. So, di ba? So, at 8,000 plus, pag nagbe-breakdown, wala na tayo eh. Right? Because you have to remember, Toma, when you have a position, actually, even you have 20-30% exposure ka lang sa market, matatakot ka eh. Pag nagka-capitulate, matatakot ka talaga, di ba? Kasi I always share this, that it's darkest before dawn, eh, di ba? Right? But when people are selling indiscriminately, di ba? Wala na, labanan na natin yan. Kasi it's for us, it's an opportunity of a lifetime talaga. It's always an opportunity. But you need to do your numbers. It's like, malalaman mo na kung gano'n ka that's why when we teach, you have to know the companies that you're participating, ano bang kumpanya yan. Di ba? Kailangan naintindihan mo yan. Kasi pag hindi mo naintindihan yan, wala. Pag nasa baba, natatakot ka. Di ba? Kasi everybody's panicking. Tapos, sasaluhin mo. Mahirap talaga. It takes some experience, then eventually it becomes a process na. Alam na natin kung paano ginagawa talaga yan.
Oh, Sir Edward, could you share your 1998 trade sa Petron? Because I remember it was during the Asian financial crisis, and Juan is even asking why you were catching a falling knife. So you said it was one of your biggest trades. So what gave you that conviction to have that much size in such a volatile environment in a falling stock tulad ni Petron?
Okay. Well, I'm very fortunate. I have a very good team talaga. No? So I always talk about it. Whenever there's a crisis, I will talk to our fundamentalist, and the head of research at that time was always April. No? So we share ideas, and at that time, and I asked her, ano ang pinakamura dyan na may growth? So sinabi niya sa akin, boss, compute kami, Petron yan. Hindi sila tatamaan dito sa Asian crisis. Huge cash flow, and they're building a new, di ba, natanda mo yung Petron, yung parang select na, diba, that you can, yung convenience store. Remember, yung sa South Super Highway, papunta akong Tagaytay, nagda-drop by ako dun eh. Tinitingnan ko, maraming tao, we do our own due diligence also. And of course, you just need to convince yourself na ito na, di ba? But what happened is, Petron went from 6 pesos to 2. 6 pesos to 2, kasi capitulation na eh. It's being liquidated. The whole stock market was being liquidated eh. And nung sinabi na sa akin yun, I look at it, makes sense. Sabi ko, sige, ubusin na natin itong pera natin kasi we sold our unscore, di ba? Nakabenta kami sa A. Soriano eh. So may cash kami. So we use that cash to take advantage of that. The problem is, it was still falling eh. So sabi ko, sige, 2 pesos, labanan na natin yan. And I remember clearly, when we were buying that, Ayala Land was 8 pesos. 8 pesos. And then when Juanes came to see me and said, "Boss, what are you doing? You're buying a falling knife." Sabi ko, sige, tapusin mo muna itong pera ko. Because we got the cash. And I knew that we have to, the only time to be able to get the number of shares is when it's falling knife eh. Di ba? Kasi kundi, pag nag-bounce, let's say for example, nag-bounce, nag-umakyat ng 10 to 15%, hindi mo na mabibili yan eh. That's why we always, whenever we buy it, ang capitulation parang you just have to have that conviction na ito na. Right? Ito na. But you can still lose pwede ka pa matalo kasi pag naubos ang pera mo, lusot yan eh. Di ba? But the nice thing about all this is that once the selling is finished by the institution, kasi they cannot get out eh. Di ba? So, illiquid ang market eh. So, once it finish, it goes up by itself. Absence of seller na. Right? That's why the bounce eh. That's why it's mean reversion. Kasi tapos na yung selling mo eh. Wala na kang shares eh. Pag kinuha mo yung shares, wala na yan. Absence of seller na. So, that's where the bounce comes in eh. Tako mo. So, the capitulation, mean reversion, it's because, especially in the Philippines, it's illiquid. So, people, with the fund managers, when they're getting out, they don't really care. They just want to finish the order. Right? And that is, for us, is very important. Kailangan nandun ka. Kasi pag wala ka dun, hindi mo makukuha yung shares. Diba? Pag hinintay mo mag-bounce, assuming if you want to buy a sizable amount, kailangan nandun ka na. Kasi kung trader ka lang, maliit lang yung portfolio mo, okay lang. Kasi you can wait for the, diba? Wait for the one-day reversal and then you can chase it. Walang problema. And then put your stop at the bottom. Kami, when we trade what we think, wala nang cut loss yan. Hahawakan lang namin yan. Tapos sisiraduhin na namin yung computer para hindi kami matakot, di ba? Kasi nakakatakot naman talaga yan eh. Di ba? And I always joke about it. Basta pag binili na natin, conviction, it's like investing in a business na. That hindi mo na bebenta yan. But what the funny part is, tama si Juanes. Ali went to 4 pesos. Pero Petron 2. Kasi Petron, the floating shares, konti lang eh. So we were able to hold the floating shares. Naubos namin. Pero wala na rin kami pera. So we were just praying na hopefully na the market would rally na and para makalabas kami. Because you have to remember, when the rally came, Ali went to 8. Petron was still 2 pesos. So that means tama si Juanes, di ba? Pag wala kami doon, piso yan. O, parang ganun na. So we were just, I think, you need also a little bit of luck. You need lots of luck, no, when you're doing these things. No? But kailangan, parang you have to be investing in businesses. Yan ang mindset ko. It's a good business, and you know that when the storm leaves, ando ka, you'll see your rallies, no? Which is the mean reversion.
Did you approach yung 2020 market crash the same way with the same capitulation, mean reversion strategy?
It's always there. But of course, alam mo naman, when you have a listed company, we have COL, di ba? Right? So the bulk of our cash will always have to buy back the shares of those people who are selling. So we have to protect ourselves also. But at the same time, it's the same. We also participated in the pero Ayala ang pinili ko Ayala Corporation kasi for 384 pesos nakita namin yan eh. So we participated in that also. But not the same manner as before. Kasi dati, wala tayong listed company, walang problema yan. All in tayo ng all in. And today, we have to maintain some cash kasi we have our own listed company. Alam mo naman, pag binebenta ka, kailangan you have to buy back the shares because ganun lang talaga yun eh. Di ba? So may pros and cons of having a listed company, but it's our own company, right? So it's much easier, right, to buy back shares during difficult times, no? Kasi we love our business naman eh. So yeah.
So moving on, sir, from yung discussion on crisis and market crashes, what do you think is the biggest reason why people fail in the financial markets?
I just shared a slide. No, I think it from Instagram yan eh. Instagram. Talk about why most trader fails, and the funny part, it's only the stat globally. It's only 1% can make it, and then 5% can continue to still to trade, but the bulk of them will lose money. And I will share with you, and I shared this in one of my talk about a month ago. I shared the picture of Jeff Bezos asking Warren Buffett. He said, Warren, you're the second richest man in the world. And you have a very simple strategy, looking for good companies at the discount, at the reasonable price, and hold it. No? And Warren Buffett said it's because everyone wants to make money quick. People likes to make money, right? It's parang gusto mong kumita na mabilis. Ayaw mong kumita na parang mabagal, no? And that's really the reason. Like us, for example, we have been very consistent. We stay away from volatility, right? We stay away from volatility. Pag binebenta na yan, that's the only time we go in, no? And so we just need to be consistent. So I always say it's not timing the market, but timing the market. So if you want to become a full-time trader, I think that's the probably what most people will what. Can you make trading a living? I think it's really difficult. Mahirap naman talaga, no? Mahirap talaga. And I've seen it so many times. I've done it myself. I was an active trader. I'm a licensed commodity trader out in Toronto. From 1990 to 1992, I worked for a company called Dinwiddie. I'm an active forex trade. I'm really a trader. I'm really an active licensed commodity trader or forex traders. The problem is when you're all alone doing it by yourself, right? And I shared this so many times. I was when I migrated in Toronto, I brought my family there. And from 1989 to 95, I was a trader, and I was all alone in the basement trading in and out, in and out, in and out. After 6 months, sabi ko hindi ko na kaya ito. No, I did lose money. I did lose money, but I did not make money. No, I did not make money. It was a lot of time that wasted. So ang ginawa ko, I applied for a financial advice. Work for Dean Witter. I work for Dean Witter, and when I joined them, overnight, I started to become a $1 million producer. Kailangan may community ka talaga eh. Kailangan may kausap ka. Mahirap yung mag-isa ka lang. That's really the challenge. No? So you need to be in a community talaga. And you have to treat it as a business. Kailangan negosyo. Kasi pag hindi negosyo, right? Syempre, the emotional cycle yan eh. The FOMO. So for example, let's say if you're a trader, di ba? Kumita ka ng pera ngayon. So ang ginagawa, naghahanap ka pa ng next one eh. Nako mo. Di ba? So it becomes a zero-sum game. You win, you lose, you win, you lose, you win, you lose. No? So, like I always share this with my people, you need to be in a community. Pag wala ka sa community, mahirap talaga. And you need to have a trading partner na tumitingin talaga sa anong ginagawa mo. You need to be able to put in a journal so that you can see your mistakes, di ba? And most of the time, most of the traders basically think that they know how to trade because they make money, but they don't understand that by the end of the day, they cannot measure it. You need to be able to write it down, put a journal, and really understand your hit ratio, your edge ratio. It becomes a business talaga, negosyo talaga. And it's tough. It's really tough. Mahirap talaga. Anyway, we have traders that are doing it for us globally. Binabantayan na namin yan. Hirap pa rin eh. Some of them, hirap pa rin eh. Di ba? It takes a while. It takes a while. And they really have to have that patient to wait for the proper setup to participate. Eh. But if you're all alone, pag kumita ka, di ba? Toma, alam mo naman eh, hahanap ka na ng next one. Hahanap ka na ng next one. Then, it becomes a zero-sum game talaga. So, it's really tough. It's a challenging business. There are just so many moving parts yan eh. So many moving parts yan.
Back then, sir, let's say in the 80s or in the 90s, was it easy to find a trading community? Kasi ngayon, nowadays, ang dami. Sobrang dami sa Facebook, sobrang daming groups ngayon. Pero back then, madali ba o mahirap?
Like I said, I work for Dean Witter out in Toronto. Siyempre, we have about 30 to 40 financial advisors in the office. I was working in an office in Scotia Plaza, downtown Toronto yan eh. So yun, di ba? Nag-usap kayo, right? And then you watch over each other. So parang indirectly, you're in a community na rin eh. Di ba? I think at that time we have all over Canada, we have 1,500 financial advisors all over. But in our branch, mga 40 to 50 lang. 40 to 50. Then you become friends. You talk about the market. Diba? You share your strategies. So parang nasa community ka rin. Meron talaga. But I'm working as a financial advisor in an office. Nasa office talaga yan. And so there were a lot of things that which tawag natin na yung parang blind spot natin na hindi natin nakikita, they can share it with you right? Sometimes, di ba? If you're all alone, syempre, may biases ka rin Ang tawag namin doon, hermeneutics di ba? You have your own biases. So when you have your own biases, sometimes hindi mo na nakikita Di ba? Gusto mo lang kumita, pero may mga warning signs na hindi natin na nakikita yan. So you need to be in a community para to ask you questions, bakit mo nakita yan, diba? So it's very important talaga. Very important talaga. Meron kang community talaga. Kailangan talaga yan.
Yun. So, para sa mga lone wolves natin dyan, alam nyo na. Dalawa ko lang. But Sir Edward, back to your point a while ago on trading for a living, right? So, paano, kasi, yun nga madami gusto gawin yun. Paano pag meron lumapit sa'yo at nagtanong, Boss Edward, gusto ko talaga maging full-time trader. Kailan ko ba dapat gawin? Feeling profitable naman ako for the past 2 years. Pwede na kaya?
In fact, I shared that the other day with one of my community. Sabi ko, the biggest problem with active trading is that, especially the young people who are starting, if you are in a strong bull, kasi di ba, we have 4 kinds of market sentiment. Strong bull, weak bull, strong bear, weak bear. So it's called ang sa amin, quadrants yan. It's called the quadrants. So, and if you look at the stock market, di ba, there are 4 stages. Accumulation stage, that's for us, is Q1, di ba? Then markup, that's your strong bull, which is stage 2. Then your distribution, stage 3. Then markdown. Like in the US now, it's marking down now, it's stage 4. Diba? So in other words, you have to know where you are. The biggest problem is this. You make a lot of money in stage 2, right? In quadrant 2, strong bull. The problem is, since you make a lot of money, you're making a lot of money, the sentiment is in your favor, strong bull, then it starts to become expensive, right? But still, it's still in a major trend, diba? And that's what we call becomes stage 3, which is a weak bull. Right? Market's expensive. So you have to use different strategy now, right? You have to use different strategy. If they don't understand and they just buy the breakout, wherein mahal na talaga yung valuations mo, nagbe-breakout ka ba? Diba? You should be using a buy low, sell high rather than a buy high, sell higher, right? So if they don't understand all these different strategy, what will happen is mauubos ang pera nila sa weak. Yung weak yung weak bull lang, mauubos na yung pera niya. Stage 3, mauubos na yung pera nila. And then pag nag-breakdown, naipit na sila, all the way down yan. No? All the way down in stage 4, yung nagmamarkdown. So, I think if they really want to become a professional, really trade for a living, they really have to have enough, how do you say this? Maybe a sponsor. I mean, you're working for a company, right? Like what we do, we hire traders and we basically invest in their learning, yung education nila, and then we give them capital. Sa tingin namin, may laban na yan. But if you're doing on your own, if you're going to do it on your own, it's like nagsa-startup ka. You're setting up a startup company, right? So, kung wala kang kapital, delikado ka. Kasi kung wala kang kapital, ang mangyayari sa'yo, anong gano'n na? All in ka. Pag nag-all in ka, it becomes very discretionary na yan. Diba? And it's going to be very difficult for them to make it. They might make it in a bull market, but after that, kung kinontinue nila yan, during the volatility, ubos na yung pera nila. Hindi nila kaya. That's why the stock is still the same. Sa amin, it's still very nice. We say 85% lose money in an active trading environment. No, if you are trading They told Forex or anything that has leverage, 97% will lose money. That's what people don't know. I mean, we have the stat. I mean, even when I was working in Toronto way back in the 90s, the stat is the same. All the Forex traders, our financial advisors who in the Forex trading, ano yan, 97%, within 3 months, ubos ng pera nila. Kasi volatility lang, patay na sila. No? Trading Forex, I mean, it's easy to trade Forex if you're not leveraged. But why do you want to be in Forex trading if it's not leveraged? No, I mean, it just goes up 1 or 2%, right? But if you're leveraging in 10 or 20 times, yung 1% mo is 10 times, 10%, 10% na. After that, pagod ka na. It's really a difficult, very challenging talaga to make it into a living, no? But I always share this is that once, let's say for example, you focus on your work, focus on your businesses. Siyempre kami, we're trained as entrepreneurs, right? So we encourage really young people to be more entrepreneurial rather than to work for a 9-to-5 job. I'm not supposed to say this, but that's how I was trained. And the thing is, when you're building a business, you have a business, it's called active income, right? It's like us trading, it's active income dapat yan, di ba? But then, yung kinikita mo, you need to also look for a passive income, which is investing in businesses, right? So that you will have two kinds of income. One is active income. So be the best in your business, be the best in your work, right? And then at the same time, you save 10-20% and start investing in good businesses, right? In para may passive income ka. Let them work for you. And I'm telling you, after 10-20 years, that passive income will become a lot of money, right? That's why we always teach financial literacy, the importance of financial literacy. Di ba? Nakita mo yung video ko na may passive income, may active investing, may active trading. No? That active trading is the most difficult. Pinakamahirap yan. Passive investment and active investing is easy. No? It may mas mabilis kasi these are for long-term investing yan. Di ba? Right? But while active trading is a totally different ball game. You need to know the rules of the game. And it takes about 3 to 4 years for you to understand all the different market sentiment, market cycles. Pag hindi mo na experience yan, akala mo parang 2020, yung mga ARK invest nila, yung mga innovations, you can make 10, 20, 30 times. Isang buhit lang, ubos na lahat. That's really the sad part about if you don't understand what you're doing. Especially on issues that are more speculative, yung parang startup, young growth na issues, no, which are very, very much in style in 2020. No?
So, to your point, sir, you started out yung market timer kayo, but you switched. Why switch your focus, right, on your educating efforts for the Filipinos sa long-term investing? Ba di na lang puro active trading na lang lahat?
Oo nga, I started that COL, we started in 2005. We started teaching people how to do market timing. Pinapakain pa namin yan Pag pumunta ka rito, may si Juanes, me, we will teach market timing Meron pa kayong sandwich. Pinapakain pa namin sila. And the sad part is, so they started, it's like if I talk to 100 people, I can convert probably mga 5 to 10% kasi parang, do I need to learn all these things right? Di ba, syempre, technical analysis, it's not easy mahirap talaga But we started, we really believe that we have the capability of being able to share our experiences, our knowledge. So tinuturo namin talaga yan. The funny part is, in 2005, we started teaching. 2006, when we listed, a lot of people made a lot of money because that was the beginning of the bull market. Diba? So 2005, 2006, 2007. Noong July ng 2007, we saw some volatility na, and we're telling our community, yung mga customers natin that actively in the market, to start lightening up na. I remember that. I gave a talk in July. I said, there's some volatility, the valuations are stretched. umpisa na natin, maglabas na tayo. Di ba? Siyempre, nag-breakdown. Pero nag-rally all the way new high in 2008. At 1990, 2005, yeah, 2008. Nag-retrace eh. So in other words, it was the first breakdown. It's an alert. Rallied all the way. January, I remember 2008, we have another briefing. Sabi ko, oh, last chance for you to get out. Double tap na ito. Nobody was listening. Kasi they were making money. Di ba? Right? And I was wrong on the first one kasi alert eh. So sabi ko, mag-lighten up na kayo. Nung nag-rally all the way, chance to get out. All the way down, 2008, the beginning of the global crisis, financial crisis. And in August, I told my team, sabi ko, let's change the business model na. Diba? From active trading to passive investing. And you know what? That's the beginning of COL Financial. Because when I talk to 1,000 people, I can convert 55%. Kasi simple lang eh. Diba? Save, invest, reinvest. So very simple. Buy good companies at a reasonable price at a 15% discount to fair value. Cost averaging, boom. Swerte, 2008, 2000, the reversal na, di ba? The beginning of the bull market in the Philippines. So, whenever we give a talk, we change the business model na. Wala nang active trading kasi hindi naman nakikinig eh. It's really a challenge. So that's why we leave it to you guys to teach active trading. Kami hindi namin kaya talaga. And it should be a how do you say this, a collaboration between us who basically are more conservative because we are talking about the mass market. So we need to just tell them to invest in good companies, do a cost averaging, and it works. It really works. It really works. As long as you're buying good companies at a discount, they pay you the dividend, cash dividend for you to wait it out. You will make your money. And this has been proven already that a lot of the members who basically follow this cost averaging, simple cost averaging lang yan, buying at this 15% discount to fair value, over time will outperform the index. Ganun kasimple lang. But you have to have the discipline. Kailangan may disiplina ka. Kasi pag wala kang disiplina, mahirap talaga. Mahirap talaga. Yeah, we change that. And we can convert. Whenever I give a talk, now I can convert 50-55% people to open an account and then just start doing this simple passive investing. And it works. And it really works. Now, for active trading, then if they want to elevate themselves to a different, to take it into the next level, I always say that you have to treat it as a business and there are rules of the game. Kailangan maintindihan yung mga rules of the game. Kasi pag hindi mo naintindihan, isang guhit lang. Wala na. You have to start all over again.
Yun. And sir, you were famously quoted for saying that every Filipino deserves to be rich. So, saan nanggaling, sir, yung vision na ito?
Well, you have to remember, we're very fortunate, no? I'm very fortunate that I was able to learn this skill and craft at a very early age. And I really believe at that time, still today, that is really doable. No? Kaya natin ituro ito. No? And of course, it's really important that we educate the Filipino people, the importance of financial literacy. No? That you just do this simple save, invest, reinvest, and there is no excuse for you not to become rich. Very simple rules lang yan. Very simple. I teach this all the time. So that's why we came up with that quote. We believe that all Filipinos deserve to be rich as long as they just follow this simple process. No? But it's also a challenge. Mahirap din talaga. Diba? And, but you know, we've been doing this since 1999. So, 23 years na rin. Akala nila na Pinaghirapan din namin talaga yan. It's really, we are very fortunate. We have a good team. We control our costs. And we know the volatility of the market. I mean, market goes up and down. So, kailangan kinokontrol mo yung cost mo and then continuous education And then, of course, there will be a lot of fallout, di ba? Right? And those who basically followed the simple investment strategy, most of them have done very well. Most of them have done very well. So yeah, but of course it has to be an advocacy, right? Advocacy din natin yan. We trying to educate as many Filipinos as possible so that we can elevate everybody. Diba? And that's the purpose of all this naman talaga. It's became our primary purpose talaga. That's why we put it in our website yan, diba? In our so it becomes a purpose for all of the people who are in COL, in COL Financial.
Yun, solid. So, sir, kind of shifting back our focus sa trading ulit, I wanted to ask you, if you could boil down successful trading into only 3 factors, what would those 3 factors be and bakit?
It's not really 3, no? It really has to be 4. That's why Kaylung came out with the framework of FTSR, di ba? It's a combination between fundamentals. You need to understand your fundamentals well. You need to also confirm it with price. Kasi a lot of times, magaganda mga fundamentals, pero price is not telling you otherwise, no? And then you also have to understand that you need to be in the right sentiment, the right market cycle, right? Kasi if you're in the, let's say for example, in 2021, lahat ng mga breakout bumabalik. So, right? If you're not great fundamentals, but if you're in the wrong market, if you're in the weak bull, you can't make money, right? And you cannot make money also if you're in the declining. So you have to understand the sentiment is very important. Diba? The 4 sentiment that I talk about, you have to understand where you are, what's strong bull, weak bull, strong bear, weak bear. Kailangan maintindihan mo yan. So that's the sentiment portion. And the last, of course, if you don't do what we call a value at risk or risk management, if you don't do what we call we use the bar methodology. It's a bar base. So either 1% or 2% for your cut loss. They were talking about active trading. If you don't do that, then it becomes discretionary. Then you cannot consistently be able to outperform the market. Because you and I know that markets are a game of probability, right? So you're just increasing your odds by understanding where you are, right? What market sentiment you are. Pag alam mo yung market sentiment mo, wala kang problema. Is it a buy low, sell high, or is it buy high, sell higher? Or if you are more sophisticated, you want to be able to short the market. So you need to understand that. Once you can do that, then and you treat it as a business, you can be consistently doing very well. So it's what we call systematic. It's a systematic mechanical trading process. So kailangan 4. It's a combination of 4. It's a combination of 4.
So on that point, Sir Edward, if I'm not mistaken, you started in the markets in 1973. So besides technology or increase in number of investors, has anything really changed in the markets, or are the principle of success in investing or trading still the same now as it was back in the 70s or 80s?
You know, Toma, the market is composed of people. Diba? So you have to understand what we call the emotional cycle of investing. Diba? So there are 4 things that you have to understand. It's fear, greed, hope, fear, and desperation. So these four human factors will continue to be here, right? Whatever it's just in different form. Right? We can talk about the AI, the high frequency trading, everything else, but it's the same. It's all about earnings. You have to understand the business that you're buying. Then you have to understand what we call the emotional cycle of investing. Once you understand that, then you will do very well. Pare-pareho lang yan. It's been for hundreds of years. I mean, from the days of Livermore, right? I mean, we read all these books naman eh. Diba? The biggest problem with most of them is that when they think that they know everything already, that's where the blind spot comes in. So human as we are, we will always go to this emotional cycle of investing. So you need to understand it well and take advantage of it. Kasi di ba? It's like when I give a talk, pag nagsasale sa mega mall, ang daming tao. Pag nagsasale ang stock market, wala na, kung sa takutan lahat ng tao. No? So these are things that you have to understand talaga. So you need to be able to try to see things before it arrives. That's a sad part about the stock market. Sometimes, di ba, we're waiting for the confirmation, pivot point to participate. But when you have a sizable portfolio, you have a problem talaga. Because sometimes you have to buy before the breakout, you have to start accumulating already, and you have to distribute it before the breakdown. So these are the things that most traders has to understand. Kasi sometimes, kung trader ka lang, mag-isa ka lang, hindi mo nakikita Makikita mo na pag breakout, tapos hahabulin mo na. So late ka na. Right? Pag yung hindi pa nagbe-breakdown, you don't anticipate. Kasi the problem is liquidity Pag nag-breakdown, pag tingin mo, down ka 5% na mag-emotional ka na, bebenta ko ba? Hindi ko bebenta. So maraming mga kasong ganun No? It's really difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy thing. And I've talked to a lot of traders who used to work for me way back in the early 2000s. We have 185 traders trading for me in the global markets. And would you believe only 1% survive? Only 1% survive. And you know the reason why they survive? Because they leave, diba? They think they can do it on their own now. You know the reason? Is because it's hard to trade on your own. Very hard. Very hard talaga. No? Mapapagod ka talaga. Kasi zero-sum game. Unless you're in the community, we help each other, and then we look at things from what we call the FTSR framework. Kailangan may framework talaga yan. So more of active investing, active trading, pero very specific, right? And you're not trading every day. You're always looking for a proper setup to enter. So then you can be protected. It becomes a probability, a game of probability that you can measure.
Yun. So, Sir Edward, you've been in the markets, tagal na. If I'm not mistaken, almost half a century. And I mean that as a huge compliment. Sobrang idol ko kayo. But what's your advice for those traders who want to stay in the game and do it at a high level, just like you have done?
You know, everybody asks me about it. And I'm really very fortunate kasi may negosyo ako di ba? I've started, I have my own small businesses and I have enough cash flow, right? And because of that cash flow, I can afford to get into trouble, di ba? For example, we used to invest in a what we call a highly speculative mining company, right? It took me 2.5 years to hold on to the issue, right? Before it did well, no? It did well. So then we went into a Soriano. It took me another 2.5 years, right? So can you imagine if I don't have the cash flow? You understand? Kailangan may cash flow ka talaga. Kaya tinatanong sa akin, magaling ba ako? Sabi ko, hindi ako magaling. Meron kasi akong negosyo. So I think for any young people who are starting, I think it's important if you really think that that's your passion, that you want to take it to the next level, you need to find some cash flow kung saan mo kukunin yan. Because it takes a while for you to experience everything, right? And the funny part is, Toma, everything is there na, di ba? I shared with you a video, how to pick stocks, how to do it properly. Ang dami talaga yan Di ba? I talk about what? Corporate life cycle, kay Aswat, di ba? The Michael Moll, the 4 Ps. And then we talk about the different quadrants, the different market cycles, right? The sentiment. It's all there available. It's just that, are you ready to see it? Are you ready to receive it? No. The thing is that it's like all the books. There's so many books, di ba? There's just so many books di ba, available for us to be able to, and then so many videos, so many important experiences. I mean, you can see all these videos that are coming out. Everything is there, right? The traders lion, everything is there. All the best traders are there. They're sharing their experiences. The problem is you cannot see it. Hindi mo pa makikita yan, no? And the most important, have to be very patient, looking for good companies that are selling at a discount. So it takes a long process talaga. Mahaba talaga ang proseso. So for me, I think it's important that I think the passion is very important, but I think you also have to give yung expectation mo na overnight you can become like you want to be a pilot. It takes 2 to 3 years to learn how to be a good pilot, right? I mean, flying a plane and anything. In the stock market, it's the same. If you want to be an active trader, you need to take it slow, learn it properly, learn the rules of the game. And I was just very fortunate. I was able to build my businesses, right? I have good businesses, good cash flow that sustain all my, maybe at that time, experimentation. We were looking for different strategies, different setups. And when you're young, you want to be in all. Sana all, lahat ng tindihan mo, momentum, 90 degrees, 60 degrees, 45 degrees, capitulation, reversal. I mean, you want to be in all kinds of setup. But the thing is that if you don't understand how to do it the right way, I think it will take you longer. No? It will take you longer. So for my personal advice to young people, I think the first thing you need to do is find a passion of, not in trading, but in maybe in your work. Let's say if you're a computer science or you're an architect, spend your time trying to be the best in your craft, in your profession, and then at the same time have an open mind. So in other words, your profession or your businesses becomes your active income. Yan ang active income mo, di ba? And then spare 10-20% to do this investment, passive income, and learn from it, no? And learn from it. So sabay-sabay yan, active income and passive income, right? And then learn and listen to be part of a community, learn it properly, right? And try to avoid speculative issues, yung mga walang laman, right? Maybe puro kwento lang, marami dyan. But if, I don't touch it. If there's, I only participate in, let's say, in an informed specs if I do my checklist. So everything I do is may checklist na yan, diba? People, product, potential, predictable. Kailangan may checklist ka na talaga. Kasi if you don't have that checklist, iikot ka na naman. And then if you don't manage your risk, you don't do what we call a mechanical way of managing your risk, which kabe power-based, value at risk. Then it becomes discretionary. Pag discretionary yan, paikot-ikot ka lang. So akala mo marunong ka, pero ikot ka lang. So you'll be wasting a lot of your time and resources. So I think for the young people, look for a business that you're passionate with, and or get a job, work, and be like I was invited to speak to the Junior Achievement Asia Pacific Conference. It's a leadership summit. So they asked me, Mr. Lee, how do you become successful? What did you do? Ano, may sikreto ba yan? Sabi ko, walang sikreto ito. Sinabi ko lang, just be a servant leader. Right? Whatever you're doing, you're working, you serve your fellow co-workers. Diba? So when you have that kind of a discipline attitude that you're always serving people. So like I did when I started my business, I served my people because I need my people to help me, help me build the business. So I have to spend a lot of my time working with my people, right? So that's the first thing. Second is I have to take care of my customer. In other words, I have to give them a good product, a good service, right? So, and then the last is, of course, I have to take care of my shareholders, right? Diba? Kailangan bibigay mo ng dividendo, kumikita ka, tapos hindi mo binigay mo ng dividendo. So I shared them. Because I was part of this JA program, I used to be in the board of Asia Pacific, so they invited me. Said, no need to be bright. Just focus on being a servant leader, and the rest is history. And that's the reason why I've been building business for 44 years. And the two partners of mine are still my partners today, because I serve them. A lot of my people has been with me for 20, 30 years. So it's the same thing. You have to take good care of your people, take good care of your customers. Like especially in the financial market, I always tell them, I will do what is right. Meaning, if I'm going to put an entry exit, it's all very mechanical already, right? I would not do anything that I think that will just be able to churn for more volume. Hindi namin gagawin yan. So what is important is you have to do what is right. You continue to build a business based on serving your people, serving your clients, serving your shareholders. And I really think, and then learn the passive income, right? Kasi kailangan may pera ka. Kasi pag wala kang pera, paikot-ikot lang yan eh. Paikot-ikot, magtatabi ka talaga ng pera. And then from there, learn from it. And then let the passive income one day is the one working for you. They're all working for you, di ba? Kasi passive income. So the what we call the importance of financial literacy is very, very critical talaga for you to be able to amass wealth talaga. And then once you learn it, may pera ka na. Then during crisis, we will have a lot of opportunities. You will really able to have a lot of. Kailangan nandun ka kasi pag wala ka nandun, kawawa ka rin. No. I mean, hindi man kawawa, pero it would just take longer. Just take longer.
Yun, thank you for that, Sir Edward. Nasagot mo na yung next question ko, yung advice naman para sa younger generation. Marami kasi ito sa Investa Fest, we have a lot of, siguro mga 20s, early 20s na attendees. So to end our interview, sir, I have last 3 questions for you. So first is, what would you consider as your greatest accomplishment?
So it's all about legacy, no? And I shared this so many times. My legacy is my family. I'm really very fortunate that all my 3 kids are basically in the industry, and the same. It's all about advocacy, helping because they were able to learn the craft, learn the skills that we have in being able to participate in the market. They understand it. And I'm really fortunate that all of 3 of them I don't have to worry about them. I know they can take care of themselves. So number 1 is family. Number 2, of course, is the people that I was able to impact, right? Because we are spending most of our time educating people, diba? So I work with a lot of the NGOs, the Junior Achievement of the Philippines. Spend time share with them how to build businesses. So hopefully people learn from us, and that's the most important. No? The people that we were able to impact. That for me, I think, should be the most important, rather than money. Or I mean, I like money, but it's not the most important. Now, for us, it's really a lot of relationship. So yeah, and build businesses. I love to build businesses also. So yeah.
For my second to the last question, what is next for Mr. Edward Lee?
I don't know if I can say this, but we're trying to list another company, the Global Prop Trading Company. I can't talk about the details, but of course the third one is really how to build the school, Keilung, no? Because Keilung we're there already, and I really believe that we can make it into the next level. I was just sharing that with Elio a while ago, and hopefully maybe one day we can list Keilung. And of course, we're also very much involved in another advocacy project, which is Cloud Arc of Edbon, trying to help young. Of course, Edbon is doing all the work, not me anymore. No? And help young companies, small and medium companies, no? And try to help them, advise them to how to list their company. No? List their company. So never ending. Always looking for opportunities. Always looking for. I mean, I think I'm a born entrepreneur. I get excited when I have new things that I'm participate, and I try to hopefully that I can make something out of it. Something out of it. Yeah.
And so Edward,
Walang retirement, walang retirement.
Sir Edward, for my final question, syempre una muna, before I ask it, thank you so much for your time for doing this interview. And for the final question, what would your final message be for all of the attendees of the InvestaFest 2022 watching this interview now?
I always share this also, no? You always have to be an optimist. That's very important. You always have to be an optimist because if not, you will not be able to see opportunities. So anything that you do, you have to have that open-mindedness. Kailangan always learning, always seeking other people's knowledge, experiences. But the most important is you need to be an optimist. Because if you're not optimist, you cannot see opportunities. I think that's very important.
Yun. So I think that's a great way to end our interview. Sir Edward, thank you again so much for your time.
Thank
And
you.
to
Thank you for inviting me.
everyone watching this interview, well, if you guys have any questions for Sir Edward, we'll be having a live Q&A session, if I'm not mistaken, on April 1 at 4 p.m.
That's right.
So hopefully we can see you guys there. Sir Edward, thank you again. And to our audience, kita-kits tayo sa live Q&A session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. And good luck to Investa. That's a piss. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yun.
InvestaFest 2022 is brought to you by these major partners: Atram, To Trade Asia, and these other partners. Do not forget to share your experience and learning on social media. Use our official hashtag InvestaFest 2022.